Alright, hello and welcome to, I think this is day 9, maybe, of Vlogmas. We are back on drawing character from Noah's Archipelago, which is my webcomic. Hold up, this is my palette here. Can I get it through? I don't know. There you go. So this is characters from Noah's Archipelago. This is Noah's father-in-law, Frank. And we're going to kind of start with a bit of a... well, we'll start with the background. And I think I mentioned in the Agnes video, this is Agnes's husband, about Agnes complaining that she used to have a beautiful lawn before her stupid before her son-in-law ruined it with his stupid vegetables and chickens, i.e. by putting in raised garden beds and a chicken coop. And Frank pretends that he wasn't part of that decision-making process, but he absolutely was, as we can kind of see here now. One thing that's going to be a little awkward to get across in today's video is that Frank is not a big user of sunscreen, and he's into golfing and sailing, which is to say that he is very sunburned. And I've been making everyone's flesh color generally just the white paper. I'm going to have to do that differently when I get towards the end, because I'm going to have one with Ursula's teacher, and Ursula's teacher is definitely tan. So we'll figure that out later. But anyways, normally I draw them with a fairly... when I do the Noah's cartoons in the iPad in Procreate, I normally do them with where Frank has a fairly pink base skin color, and then I actually use like transparent red to add some really burnt spots. So we'll see, because I don't want to, nobody else has skin color thus far. But it's kind of a thing with Frank that he's sunburned all the time, because Agnes nags him, and he basically, whatever Agnes says, he'll say yes, dear, and then as soon as she leaves the room or whatever, he'll do the exact opposite. So Agnes does nag him about using sunscreen, but he don't fucking do it. So, how are we going to do this? That doesn't make him look like he's wearing makeup is the other thing, because I've got the very, very got that pink that I use in the mice and rats ears, but that might look a little too, well, if we do it this way, he's gonna, usually it's kind of his nose and chin a little bit. His hands, of course, get sunburned when he's out golfing. But I'm also going to dab. I don't know, this probably looks really bad. But it also kind of really looks like Frank. And actually, when you dab it, it kind of almost looks like a normal, random white person skin tone. Whereas he is kind of, I don't know, we'll see. We'll sort of see. So I'm also a little worried. It's like, do I end up making him look like he has like some sort of horrible skin disease? But he doesn't. He's just like really, really sunburned because he's outside all the time. We'll see how that looks once it's inked. I mean, hey, I'm doing this more for fun, right? So if it looks terrible, well, it was an experiment. I do think at the end of, I was going to say the day, but actually it's more like the season. I think what I'll probably end up doing is picking some of the best of these drawings, maybe 5 or 10, like 5 Ricky and 5 Noah, maybe. And then I would do them as art cards or Christmas cards that I would then have for sale next year, something like that. We'll see. So you probably wouldn't actually want to. The way I'm going to draw this tree that I'm coloring in right now would actually be inside the chicken pen, which you actually wouldn't do because then predators can use the tree to get in and all that. But it's cartoon, and also if I was going to have him where he's outside the chicken pen with the chicken, then that needed to be brown and this needed to be grass, and I didn't do it that way. So anyways, we are just gonna run with it, I guess. I've got a few different shades of brown down on here, so kind of do that. So, well, we talked last time about what Margaret does for a living. Frank is retired, so at this point, he don't do nothing for a living. He was a politician during his career. It's not super clear on exactly what levels he was at and all that, but actually I think I did write, it may not have come up in any of the comics yet, but I think I actually did decide, like, he was a cabinet minister or something. Had something to do with Ministry of Education and kind of moved around a few times. I think that came up in maybe one comic where Ursula is wanting Grandpa Frank to pull in some favors, so to try and get math class banned so she doesn't have to do her test on Monday morning or something. If I didn't actually do that comic, a comic arc like that, it's one that I had planned at some point a couple years ago, and maybe I didn't get around to it, I don't know. But anyways, we're just gonna run with that. As for what he may have done for a living before becoming a politician, I don't know. But they have a very nice house in Oak Bay, which is very expensive. So probably some sort of lawyer. And, of course, this is Ruth's dad. And Ruth has a brother named Norm, who is like the top criminal defense lawyer in the city. So, you know, it's very strong possibility. You know, in fact, I'd say it's the probability that Frank was a lawyer of some sort before becoming a politician. Because that's, I mean, they're not all ex-lawyers, but there's a lot of lawyers who end up getting into politics, so and that would explain the house. Now, Frank did grow up on a farm, and he always wanted to retire to a farm, but the missus, Agnes, is not a farm kind of gal, so, you know. So what ends up happening is he's not gonna put his foot down. He wants Agnes to be happy, but then his way around that is he does things like enable Noah when Noah wants to have raised beds and chickens and all that sort of stuff. Frank assists him in doing that, and then when Agnes gets mad, Frank pretends it's all Thorsen's fault, and, you know. Nice little dynamic there, but I think Noah kind of accepts at this point that, you know, he will get what he wants by appealing to Frank, but Frank will always pretend like it was never his idea and that was Noah's fault, and that's just the price of being able to pretend to have a little homesteading sort of thing going on in the city. Or, well, semi-city. I don't know if you would call Oak Bay a suburb of Victoria exactly, more like a sub-district. I guess technically it's kind of its own little town. The way these things kind of work, I guess. Alright. Frank's favorite color is blue. I think I have maybe in the early days I may have done like one drawing of him wearing a different colored golf shirt, but usually it's always just blue. Different shades of blue. So, what has Frank allowed Noah to put in the big grand yard so far? Well, there's the chicken coop and chicken run, of course. There's an orchard, you know, with dwarf fruit trees. there's the raised beds and, you know, other garden patches. Agnes would prefer to have nothing but a big expanse of lawn. And so we've got that sort of a scenario going on. There we go. Frank's got his egg basket there. And in case it doesn't quite show up yet, what he's saying is nothing like picking up chicks for the holidays. Frank is a bit of a pun. Well, we haven't seen too much of him making pun-type jokes or kind of dad jokes along those lines, but he does enjoy them. And then he does laugh at his own jokes. And there was one, well, I have a story about a Frank joke, but I think I'm going to go rinse out my palette, and I will relay that when I'm showing the inking in a sec. Hang on. Alright, I figured it would make more sense to tell the little blurb while I was inking, as opposed to be sitting there with blank, or a non-changing whatever. So, the joke was, it was this comic where the first panel shows Ursula and she's drawing, she's making her own little comic, and what she's writing there says, she has this character called Mr. Boogerman, so it's The Adventures of Mr. Boogerman, Part 1, Out of Nausicaa. So, play on Out of Africa, right? And then the second panel is her father, Noah, picking it up and reading it and smiling and going, haha, Out of Nausicaa. Ursula's so clever. And then the third panel is the mother, Ruth, reading and going, Out of Nausicaa, ew! Those brothers of hers are a bad influence. Being, Noah's sons from his first couple marriages, i.e. not her spawn. And then the fourth panel is Grandpa Frank picks it up and chuckles and says, haha, Out of Nausicaa. Haha, she used my Out of Nausicaa line. So, the quote-unquote bad influence is actually Ruth's daddy. But anyways, we have a few like that. And what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, well, Frank likes playing poker. Noah is invited. Often Noah's sons, Adam and Duke, are invited as well. I think they're the next one's going to be one of the Ricky B. Rat characters tomorrow. And then when we return to Noah's Archipelago characters, I believe it's going to be Adam and Duke, the next couple ones. They are on the schedule, so whether they're the next two Noah drawings in the first part of this week, or whether it's, actually I guess not the first part of this week, or rather later this week, or whether they're, a little further down the schedule, I don't remember, honestly. Okay, see, with the outlines, the pink doesn't look as harsh. I mean, it's still a little weird in the absence of, the absence of the base skin color, but do that. And I know I would have to have, chicken run that might have a roof on it type of deal to keep predators out. But that's a pain in the butt to draw, so we just leave it. And just like realistically, I'm going to be drawing this. It's going to look almost like a chain link fence. That's not how you actually fence in chickens. But, Frank's a little jowly, as you can tell. Uh-oh. Oh well. My hands are going to be inky all month, basically. Figure a way, places I can stick my fingers and anchor myself where I'm not getting big ink splotches on things. I guess since I'm showing the ribbing, I should probably do this. So Frank is wearing a V-neck with a shirt inside. Just do that. Yes. Oops, forgot about his hands, whatever. I can probably just crop that out. Have his hand kind of disappear and cut it like that. Anyways. Yeah, I guess I gotta actually letter so that I can put in the fencing around his lettering. So what he's saying is, nothing like picking up chicks for the holidays. I'm not going to draw in the laughing bit, but, you know, he's laughing at his own jokes for sure. Got some ink on my forearm now. Probably also have Miles make the exact same statement as Frank here, only Miles would not be talking about chickens. Oh, and I smeared some red. I'm getting ink all over the frickin' place right now. Guess I thought those red balls were dry, and they are not. I think it's time to blot that ball because it is wet at the bottom and it's a problem there. Usually I would draw like 3 or 4 other chickens wandering around whenever I draw Noah or Frank in the chicken pen, but he's got one, that's enough. I assume the other ones are all in laying, maybe. Laying or at the feeder, watering. At his feet, so his feet have been cut off from the image. So there we go! Just gotta sign it. Frank may be shorter than Agnes. Not in terms of height, but in terms of video length, sure. Or maybe I'm getting more efficient. Also, I'm not stopping to blather on incoherently, or well, I guess it's coherent, but you know, I'm not stopping to blather as much, so whether that's a positive or negative, I guess depends on your interpretation. So now I gotta sign him. I'll sign it on the wood beam at the back there, but let's stop the phone camera here. guess if I do these as Christmas cards next year, I'm going to have an issue where I put 24 in all of them, but I don't think anyone would really care that much. I can also always Photoshop the date out, you know. So, and I don't know that this one, I don't know, it's kind of fun. The other thing that I may do with some of these is, if I like the concept, but I'm not super necessarily perfectly happy with the execution, I may well just do a new rendition. I am planning on doing next year, I want to carve, I do lino block printing as well, and I know for next year I want to do a new lino block every month, so this could be another thing where I decided to, you know, have Frank picking up chicks. Try and get this more at a dead-on angle. Yeah, his head does look a little more square. Usually it's more of a vertical rectangle, but anyways, there we go. So nothing like picking up chicks for the holidays. Anyways, what I was saying is I may end up taking an image like this and turning it into a lino block, and then I could do cards from the lino block. So there we go. Frank and his chickens, folks. So that is, what is this going to be, day 9? Yeah, I think this is day 9. I'm filming it on the day before on Sunday, and apparently I don't know what day it is in terms of dates. But anyways, Frank Burgoyne, folks. That's it for today's video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Talk at you next time. Bye for now.